The humid night air carried the scent of the sea. From his room at the Flagstaff House, Kwame Nkrumah could hear the restless city, the distant beating of drums, the murmur of gatherings under street lamps, the singing of folk songs that had carried the hopes of the people for decades. He stood by the window, gazing at the faint lights of fishing boats off the Gulf of Guinea. Tomorrow, Ghana would stand on its own feet. But tonight, his mind traveled backward, to the very beginning. A small boy ran barefoot through the dusty lanes of Nkroful, a fishing village in the western region. The sun was hot, but Kwame loved the feeling of the wind on his face. His mother, Elizabeth Nyaneba, called him back to help with the evening meal. His father, a goldsmith, worked quietly at his bench. Life in Nkroful was simple but filled with stories, tales of Asante kings, of the British, of wars and peace treaties. Kwame listened, even as a child, with the ears of someone who knew the future would demand more of him. By the time Kwame left home for further studies, he was already known for his sharp mind. In Tokorodi, then later in Accra, he encountered the bustling colonial capital, railways, markets, European offices, and the strange reality of being ruled by foreigners in his own land. It was here the first seeds of political thought took root. He read newspapers hungrily, debated with friends late into the night, and began to ask the questions that would shape his life. Why should the wealth of our land serve others? Why not our own people? When Kwame sailed for the United States in 1935, it was with little money but an unshakable will. In the lecture halls of Lincoln University and the libraries of the University of Pennsylvania, he devoured ideas, history, economics, philosophy. In America, he saw both the promise of democracy and the deep wounds of racial inequality. He met other Africans, West Indians, and African Americans who dreamed of a united, free Africa. The teachings of Marcus Garvey, the struggles of black sharecroppers in the South, and the voices of thinkers like W.E.B. Du Bois stirred something in him. We are one people, scattered by history but bound by destiny. By the late 1940s, Nkrumah was in London, studying at the London School of Economics, but more often found in the smoky rooms of political meetings. He joined the Pan-African Congress, where activists from across the continent met to strategize for independence. Here he learned the art of mobilization, the weight of diplomacy, and the necessity of discipline. When the United Gold Coast Convention invited him back as General Secretary, he knew the time had come. The Gold Coast was restless. Farmers, workers, and students were impatient for change. But it was not an easy road. His fiery speeches and call for self-government now clashed with the more cautious leaders of the UGCC. The split was inevitable, and in 1949, he founded the Convention People's Party, CPP. The British authorities feared his influence. In 1950, after launching the Positive Action Campaign, a program of strikes, boycotts, and nonviolent resistance, Nkrumah was arrested and imprisoned in Fort James. But prison only amplified his voice. From his cell, he wrote letters to the people, urging them to hold fast. His name became a rallying cry in villages and towns. Nkrumah never dies. When elections were held in 1951, the CPP swept the polls. Nkrumah was released and became leader of government business, the first step toward full independence. The city of Accra awoke to a day unlike any other. From Makola Market to the fishing harbors, people dressed in their best cloth, their faces shining with anticipation. Drums echoed from every corner, merging into a rhythm that felt like the heartbeat of a nation. In schools, children practiced songs they would sing before the new flag. Old men and women whispered prayers, thanking their ancestors who had fought, suffered, and dreamed of this day. Everywhere, the air was thick with the scent of palm oil, roasted groundnuts, and the electricity of expectation. By evening, the Polo Grounds were a sea of people, farmers, workers, chiefs, students, mothers with babies strapped to their backs. Torches flickered in the warm night as drums thundered and voices rose in chants of freedom. Freedom. On the podium, Kwame Nkrumah stood in a simple white suit, his face solemn yet radiant under the electric lights. Behind him, the red, gold, and green flag of Ghana fluttered with its lone black star shining like a beacon. The crowd hushed as he raised his hand. His voice rang out, "At long last, the battle has ended. And Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever." The cheers shook the ground, tears streaming down faces, strangers embracing as fireworks lit the night sky. After the celebrations, Nkrumah slipped away from the crowd and walked to the beach. The moon hung low, its silver light glimmering on the waves of the Atlantic. He stood barefoot in the sand, listening to the tide roll in and out, as if the ocean itself were whispering secrets of the future. His thoughts stretched beyond Ghana, to Nigeria, Kenya, Congo, and all of Africa still under colonial rule. "Ghana's independence is meaningless," he murmured, "unless it is linked with the total liberation of Africa." The waves thundered in response, as if the sea itself agreed. And so began the next dream, the dream of a united Africa. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss more inspiring African history stories like this.